This meeting of the Starkville Board of Alderman will now come to order. Please rise for the saying of the Pledge of Allegiance, after which Alderman Vaughn would like to yield to Pastor Buckner to lead us in a word of prayer, and we will observe a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Gracious Heavenly Father, thank you for the opportunity to come here this evening and to approach you first and to ask for wisdom and direction this evening. Lord, we're especially grateful today for the opportunity to be able to have elections and to have spirited discussions and to understand directions and values and principles. Lord, as we come together as a community, we're thankful that here in Starkville that we know how to love one another and we know how to walk with each other. So Lord, we ask that you would pour out your Spirit on us in a fresh new way in this next season, that you would draw us together as one, and that we would be a shining light for Mississippi and for our nation. Lord, we're grateful for all of your blessings. And again, Lord, we ask for your leadership this evening. Lord, bless our city leaders and bless the plans and discussions that we will have tonight. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
All right. You have before you the written agenda. I will have a couple or a proposed correction prior to opening it, opening full board. Prior to getting into any of that, I want to make sure that I know who we have with us on the phone. We have, is Alderman Wynn with us? Is Alderman Maynard with us?
Yes, Alderman Maynard is here.
Is Alderman Carver with us?
Present.
All right, Lynn, with notice. So is there a procedure that we go through if she never joins the meeting, or is it only if she joins and then like? Okay. Okay. All right, so we have 4 members present at the table and 2 members present on the phone. Alderman Wynn is not with us. I have one proposed change to the agenda as written, and that is the very last item on your agenda needs to be removed. That's a request for approval for Starkville Utilities to insert the drinking water annual report into the June utility bills. That item is not ready. Is there any objection? The objection? The objection, seeing none. Please note the change. I do actually, I have one further proposed change to the agenda, and that is the 2 action items that are related to the franchise renewal with MaxSouth. It's my recommendation that those items be removed from the agenda, but that we have the public hearing tonight. That will meet our public hearing requirement. The city attorney, I, and the negotiators from MaxSouth, I believe, have reached a full agreement on the franchise agreement. The issue is we do not have an agreement on the pole attachment agreement, and it is my position that the franchise agreement does not need to be adopted until we have agreed upon a pole attachment agreement. Since that franchise agreement is for 25 years, that pole attachment agreement, even though it is not technically a part of the franchise agreement, it is integrally related to the franchise agreement. So my recommendation is to pull the action items and leave the public hearing. Is there any objection to pulling items A and B under mayor's business? That's the approval, I'm sorry, B and C. That is the consideration of the MaxSouth franchise renewal ordinance. That is the consideration of the MaxSouth agreement for pole attachment. Any objection? Any objection? Those items have been removed. I have no further proposed changes. Are there any proposed changes from the members of the board?
Mayor, may I be recognized?
All right, I had Vaughn first. Alderman Vaughn.
And the reason is why we got these 5 public hearings on here, I thought it was
We don't supposed to have a 3 the other night, but for what reason we got 5 in here tonight?
Well, 2 are ordinances, the franchise agreement, as well as the proposed ordinance on billboards, and those have been in the works for quite some time. And if this board is to take action before the end of this term on those 2 matters, those public hearings need to be held tonight. And with respect to the other matters, they are community development matters, and often those developments are time sensitive, and 2 weeks delay from the city can delay the construction project.
I just hope the next board, that if I'm here and elected, I hope the next board, that this never happen, because we keep on saying what we're gonna do, and we lie to our own self. And that disturbs me when we lie to ourselves. When we lie to each other, we gonna lie to the public. I don't like that.
Alderman Maynard.
Mayor, I would like to table item C under board business.
All right, the proposed revision by Alderman Maynard. I do not have an item C. Can I see your modified agenda? All right, the proposed revision by Alderman Maynard is to table item C under board business, consideration of a resolution of the mayor and board of aldermen of the city of Starkville supporting Cotton Mill Hotel Group LLC. A resolution that would acknowledge that sales tax collected from the project would be diverted to the sales tax rebate fund. Alderman Maynard, is that your proposed revision?
Yes, sir.
Do I hear an objection? Do I hear an objection?
Object.
All right, that has been objected to, so Alderman Maynard, that will remain on the regular agenda. Alderman Maynard, do you have
All
further
right.
proposed revision?
Yes, sir. I would like to propose that the minutes from April 18th, an item under mayor business A, the item under board business B,
Hold on 1 second. All right, continue.
item under mayor business A, item under board business B, and all items under departmental business except the claims docket, those involving public hearings, and the police department updates be placed on consent.
All right, since the proposed revision was to place nearly all of the agenda on the consent agenda, I am going to deviate from my standard practice, which is to read the items that are being placed on the consent agenda. Since you have those in written form, I am going to read the items that would be held off of the consent agenda. And those are all of the public hearings. All business under public hearings will remain on the open agenda. The consideration of whether property located at 84 Utah Street in the city of Starkville is in such a state of uncleanliness to be a menace to public health and safety. And the consideration of the resolution on the sales tax diversion program. the request for approval of the City of Starkville claims docket for all departments, including the Starkville Utilities Department. And the police building renovation update. Alderman Maynard, those items that I just read.
And also including the Nicholas property discussion, not one kind of consent.
That was the sales tax rebate program.
Okay.
So the items that I read would be the items that remain on the regular agenda. Everything else would go to the consent agenda. Is that your proposed revision?
Yes, sir.
Do I hear any objection? Any objection? Any objection? Any objection? Seeing none. The agenda has been so revised. City Attorney's asked to be recognized.
Mr. Mayor, on the planning items, items 2C and 2D, special event request by Cindy Brown on behalf of
Yes, sir.
Alzheimer's Association and by Mississippi State Student Association on behalf of Bulldog Bash. I would recommend that those be accepted with the conditions recommended by city staff, specifically that insurance be provided within 30 days of the event that is consistent with the city's special event policy.
Alderman Maynard,
Yes,
is
sir.
that part of your proposed revision?
Yes, sir.
Is there any objection? Any objection? Any objection? Seeing none, please note the change. Are there any further proposed revisions to the agenda? Any further proposed revisions? Any further proposed revisions? Seeing none, a motion to approve the agenda is revised. Oh, we do need to add a consent agenda item. Is there any objection to adding an approval of the consent agenda as a new Roman numeral 4? Any objection? Any objection? Seeing none. Do I now hear a motion to adopt the agenda as revised?
So moved.
Motion has been made by Alderman Little to adopt the agenda as revised. Do I hear a second? Do I hear-
Second.
Motion has been seconded by Alderman Nguyen. Alderman Little, you wish to speak on the matter?
No, sir.
Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Seeing none, I'm glad you reminded me. We will take all votes by roll call tonight since we have members joining telephonically. Please answer yea, nay, or abstain as the city clerk calls your name.
Alderman Carver.
Yay.
Alderman Nguyen.
Yay.
Alderman Little.
Yes.
Alderman Walker.
Yay.
Alderman Maynard.
Yay.
Vice Mayor Perkins.
Yay.
Alderman Vaughn.
Yay.
7-0.
By a vote of 7 in favor with 0 against, the motion passes. The next matter you have before you is the consent agenda. I'll take the consent agenda without objection. Can I do that? Or do I take a roll call vote on the consent agenda? All right, do I hear a motion to adopt the consent agenda?
So moved.
Motion has been made by Alderman Little to adopt the consent agenda as revised. Alderman Little, is that your motion?
It is.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion has been seconded by Alderman Nguyen. Alderman Little, you wish to speak on the merits?
No, sir.
Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Seeing none, please respond by saying yea, nay, or abstain as the city clerk calls your name.
Alderman Carver.
Yay.
Alderman Nguyen.
Yay.
Alderman Little.
Yes.
Alderman Walker.
Yay.
Alderman Maynard.
Yay.
Vice Mayor Perkins.
Yay.
Alderman Vaughn.
Yay.
By a vote of 7 in favor with 0 against, this measure passes. The next matter you have before you is announcements and comments by the mayor and members of the board. I have one comment tonight, and that is the announcement of an event. This Friday, June 9th, the city of Starkville will be officially recognized as an affiliate in the Keep America Beautiful program. The program will start at 1 p.m. in the courtroom. I hope you all take a little time out of your Friday afternoon to recognize this milestone for the community. And I'd also like to commend Ms. Gandy and the members of the committee that have been working hard for a year now to gain this designation. And in addition to becoming an affiliate, we also have been selected as the host site for the Keep Mississippi Beautiful Conference this fall. So I hope everyone who is concerned with the appearance of the community, which I hope that is everyone, will take some time to come by and celebrate this Friday. Are there any comments by the members of the board? Alderman Little.
I would just like to yield it to MSUSA President, Vice President. They'd like to speak on the Bulldog Bash. I noticed y'all were changing the venue, moving down the road about a mile, and if y'all would like to speak briefly, I'd like to give the floor to you guys for a moment. Introduce yourself.
Absolutely. My name is Tony McMurray. I'm serving as the Senior Student Association President.
And my name is Layton Little, and I serve as the Vice President.
So over this past year, we realized that the old location wasn't suitable for the event that we've been trying to put on. So after looking at all the different locations in Starkville, we evaluated many different locations, and we settled that in front of Cadence Bank facing City Hall, the stage facing City Hall would be the best location for this upcoming year. And we know we've been in contact with the fire department and the police department to make sure that they are on board with it too, and we're trying to work out a couple kinks. But besides that, we're really, really excited and hope that you guys are too for us to get in and see.
Well, we are excited.
Yeah.
Thank y'all.
Absolutely, thanks so much.
And Alderman Little, the Vice President, looks like he might bear a small resemblance.
Several years ago. And anyone that hasn't voted yet, you've got about an hour and 10 minutes to get out and vote in wards 1, 2, 4, and 7, I believe, if I'm right. So take a little bit of time to get out. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Any further comments by the members of the board? Any further comments by the members of the board? Alderman Walker.
I just wanted to talk a little bit about a couple Sundays ago, we had, and give a shout out to the Greater Good Collective. It's a group of individuals that came together to form this group that hosted the inaugural Sunday Fun Day. It brought out a lot of local artists, good local food, music, and they are planning on doing this every fourth Sunday of the month. It was a great time had by all that were there. The vendors, I think, sold some of their art. Some food was sold and good music was enjoyed by everyone. And so just that is those types of events that make Starkville a special place, and we need more of those events. It didn't cost the city a single dime. The event was located on a private street, and a lot of people came out for that inaugural event. So their next one is going to be the fourth Sunday of this month, and I encourage everybody to keep a lookout for the next Sunday Fun Day, hosted by the Greater Good Collective. You'll come out and experience some good local flavor from local artists in town, and have a great Sunday afternoon.
Any further comments by the members of the board? Any further comments? Any further comments? Seeing none, we'll move now to citizen comments. This time, any citizen wishing to make comments may do so by coming forward, introducing yourself, and be recognized for a maximum of 3 minutes.
Good evening, man and woman. My name is Adam Dunn, Ward 7. I'd like to recognize Vice Mayor Perkins, Alderman Vaughn, and Alderman Walker.
Thank you, Al.
I'd like to continue prayers for the Turner and Johnson family. It's 11 months in, and next month will be the so it'll be 1 year before July. Next month, we'll continue to pray for the Turner and Johnson family. Citizens have a few concerns in the speed. Second red light on Ridge Street. We have a lot of speeding, and we have that apartment complex right there. A lot of people where it's been hit. That's on Ridge Street. Second red light all the way to Spring Street. Citizens forget what speed limit is. They don't want to hit. On Maple Street, we had the same thing with speeding. Children are out. People don't want to get hit. Same thing on Long Street. The Blue Card exit into Long Street, we have a lot of speeding from that up to the light. And people fear that people might get hit. And those are some concerns.
any further citizen comments? Any further citizen comments?
Good afternoon, Board. I'm Caleb Gilmore. I just want to bring to the point, as a native of Brookhaven, Mississippi, recently we had a loss of 8 lives, and one of those lives was one of my schoolmates, Officer William Durham. I want to thank the law enforcement of Starkville for supporting the Durham family in a time of loss. Thank you so much. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, Ms. Gilmore.
Mr. Mayor, I think Mr. Mateen wants to be heard on that public hearing.
You here with respect to the case related to 84 Utah Drive?
I'm here for that, and I'm also here for something else as well. My name is Roy F. Mateen at 94 LaFleur Street. You need my phone number. If you do, there'll be no collect calls. But anyway, I'm here to speak on behalf of the Rolling Hills. We have had a lot of problems out there in this respect. You know what I'm saying? There are people who continues to run that stop sign. They don't pay no attention. They disrespect it. And I'm asking and requesting that an officer be set at these stop signs down there sometime. I don't want to see anyone get a ticket. What I would like to see, I don't have the right to say, but I'm going to say what I feel. I would like to see if you stop these people, take their license from them, and make them come up there to receive their license, and next time they're caught, give them a ticket, because a lot of them just doing this for low down and stuff, I think. My neighbor and I, 2 weeks ago, we cleaned up the entire subdivision out there in Rolling Hill. And we discovered there's a lot of water that we're having a problem with. I called my alderman and told him about it. He came out and looked at it. But there's one on the far end of Utah Street down there where the waters continue to just bubble, bubble, bubble. They have blocked it off, lined it off. The city has done something as far as checking it, but it has nothing been done to solve the problem. And I would like to have an answer on that as soon as possible, you know what I'm saying? Anything else?
Yes. How y'all doing, Board? I'm his neighbor. And what I'm concerned about in our neighborhood is the speed. What's the speed limit in living area like that?
We need your name for the record.
My name is Johnny Johns. I'm at 23 Utah. Rolling Hill.
Chief?
Mr. Mayor, I respond to that?
You may.
Mr. Mayor, thank you, Chief. Let me respond to the first thing. Thank you, gentlemen. I appreciate your being here. Mr. Mateen, we talked about these matters. Mr. Kemp, Mr. Terry Kemp, I know we're checking on a water leak up at Pontotoc in Utah. We check on that leak at the end of Utah. Mr. Terry Kemp, Mr. Mateen is going to check on that. He's going to check on that and get an answer back for us on that, okay? And then, I know you're going to speak on the matter of the Utah. We're going to have a public hearing. We're going to recognize you on that. Mr. Johns, yes, sir. Mr. Johns, Chief, would you just answer his question? What's the speed limit? He lives right there on the west side of Utah, right going north past Pontotoc. Would you tell him, to your recollection, what that speed limit may be there?
Mayor, Vice Mayor,
Yes, sir,
Board. Tell you the truth right now, I don't know off the top of my head because it's different from every neighborhood. I've talked with Mr. Johns about this, and I've put people out there to write tickets, and he knows this. I'm sure in every neighborhood there's going to be some concerns with running stop signs. Whenever we get the complaints, we always, and you know that, we always go and we assess that. And as far as us not writing a ticket, I can't tell an officer not to write a ticket to do his job. If you want us out there to monitor it, that's part of it. Not everybody get a ticket, but that's at the officer's discretion to do that. But if I had to guess, I would say that the speed limit is probably going to be, in a residential neighborhood, I would suggest that it be like 15 miles an hour.
Oh, okay. But I would like to request speed bumps in the area, is there any way possible?
Mr. Mayor, let me address that now. Mr. Johnson, we've talked about that, and Mayor, just be fully transparent about it. This is what I told him, and I know the policy, we just gonna put everything on the table. The policy is real, it varies, throughout the city, but the last policy I recall that the board approved was a policy that requires 80% of the homeowners for that to happen. Now, let's just say 80% agrees to that, and we've had that discussion, Mr. Johnson, we just being frank about it in public discussion here. Then, of course, and then it'll be a funding issue in terms of it getting on the docket for capital improvement. Because right now, of course, there are a lot of other projects ahead of them for capital improvements. Now, as I shared with you, of course, I represent all the constituents over Hill. And of course, I told you I would personally prefer, but I'm your alderman, I'm just a public servant. But the problem with that 80%, you got 20% they're gonna be unhappy about it. And Mr. Mateen, you as a leader, and we work well together. You support me really well. You give me a lot of support and respect, and we get a lot of things done. But I made that real clear to you as well that personally, this is just your alderman. I represent you, and I'm accountable only to you all and the citizens. But I would prefer that you get everybody in the neighborhood to sign off on it. Because the problem with my 24 years of experience, if 80%, I got to deal with 20%. But whatever the neighborhood says, I'm the servant, but of course, and even if you put the speed bump there, that don't mean the traffic gonna stop. Even the police goes over there, that don't mean the traffic gonna stop. What I think we need to have an education issue with our neighborhood, because the people who over there, and of course, and don't misunderstand me, I'm not trying to be long here, but I got to make sure I answer your question before you leave here, because you'll carry the message back to the neighborhood. But what'll happen is that, I think we need to just, Mr. Mateen, when we have a neighborhood meeting you want to invite me to, we'll address this issue. I think the neighborhood can get involved and say, look, when they have residents coming over, look, speeding is the number one concern, because the police officer's not going to sit there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And let me just be frank, and I'm just going to put it just on the table. We know we all working. It was a family. And thank you for allowing me to represent you. But what happens is, now when the police go there and start writing tickets now, when they start writing tickets now, there's nothing that the vice mayor going to be able to do. You have to pay the tickets. So you get what you ask for. Now, over about 24 years, in my ward, I'm not speaking to nobody else's ward. I'm talking how I govern and represent. But with the non-speed bumps, it's been working well. But I think it just needs to be maintained. If we can, when we have the neighborhood meeting, let's take that up at a neighborhood meeting. I think we need to address that with the people over there, and if everybody get involved as a community, as a family, and say, look, speeding is the number one problem, litter is the number one problem. We're gonna be on a neighborhood watch. We want everything to be done according to the law, and we're gonna police our own neighborhood. And that's what I try to do in mine. If for example, I see paper on my street, sometimes I get out there and pick it up like you all do, and the same thing. I think that's the best approach, because now, like I said, the chief, you send also there, because if they start calling me, I'm gonna say, look, that's what you asked for. I'm not gonna ask police not to, I can't legally, morally, ethically, I'm not gonna call the chief. Nobody's not gonna ask me that, to tell them not to write a ticket, but if you ask them to go there now, they're gonna issue some ticket. And I don't think the speed bumps, and this is my personal opinion, they just, I don't think that's gonna solve the problem. I think we just have, Mr. Mateen, let's get a neighborhood meeting. We're gonna speak to this in depth. Mr. Jones, we'll get us a neighborhood meeting, we'll address this. And then even when we had the speed bumps, and if 100% of people agree, we got to get the funding. We got so many, we have a lot of projects, Mr. Mateen. But I think tonight we had a good start. You're here, we heard what you got to say. And in conclusion, Mr. Mateen, we got this public hearing. If you can get recognized from the mayor about the 84 Utah, which is a state of uncleanness. I went over there and saw it. We can get that taken care of. That's a great accomplishment. So we're gonna keep working. Neighborhood is, Rolling Hills is a very dear place to me. We're gonna make sure that it stays that way.
Keep it safe.
We're gonna do that. We're gonna work together as a team, okay? You all satisfied with that?
I'm satisfied with everything you ever said, and I do agree with it, and
Yes, sir.
I'll have you at the meeting when I form a meeting. But
Yes, sir.
One other thing I would
Yeah.
like to put on the agenda,
Yeah.
that sign at LaFleur Street in Utah, there's no Utah sign, just LaFleur Street.
Well, you tell me, we'll get that taken care of.
Yeah.
You call me tomorrow and tell me exactly what it is. I'll come out there tomorrow. You show it to me. I'll get Mr. Kemp to put it on his, I'll request.
Where's Mr.
No,
Kemp?
I'll do it. I'll do it. Just call tomorrow. I'll respectfully request for our department here, rather, to put that on the agenda. He'll get to it whenever he gets to the top of the list.
One other thing.
Yes,
is
sir.
it okay from you or whoever to give Mr. Kent my number when he call, I will be present.
Okay.
I would like to know, I'd like to be out there.
We'll have a recess, and during the recess, Ms. Kemp, get with him.
Okay.
Thank you all,
Yes,
Judge.
sir.
Y'all
Thank
so
you.
nice and
Thank you very much.
and orderly. Thank you all
Thank
so
all
much.
of you.
Thank you all so much. Thank you.
Mayor, can I say one thing?
Yes,
Well,
Chief.
Also, when you have a community meeting, can you let the police department know and I have a representative there?
Yes, sir, I sure will.
Thank you.
I definitely will. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
And thank you, Chief, for your hard work. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Vice Mayor.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Are there any further citizen comments? Any further citizen comments? Any further citizen comments? Seeing none, we'll move to public hearings, and we have several scheduled tonight. The first public hearing is the first of two public hearings on an ordinance revision to Appendix A, zoning Article 9, signage to modify the outdoor advertising and billboard requirements. Mr. Sanders, would you like to introduce?
The purpose of this ordinance revision is to address the total number of billboards within the city of Starkville, the billboard locations, and the billboard design standards. And as you can see on this map, this is the current location of existing billboards in Starkville and the one permitted billboard, which is located near Stark Road and 118. That's correct. So as far as the ordinance revision itself, the first part of the revision was to modify the definition section of the sign ordinance. The term billboard was removed from the off-site signage definition, and the term billboard replaces the outdoor advertising sign in the definition. This will allow for a clear difference in terms of off-site signage and billboard. And as I show on the map, the 13 existing and permitted billboards, one of the items this ordinance addresses is the put in a cap on the total number of billboards. So if this ordinance passes, the cap would be 13. The billboards would only be allowed to be located in C2 and M1 zone property, and they must be a minimum of 300 feet away from residential zone property. Billboards will also only be allowed on Highway 12, Highway 25, and the Highway 82 corridors. All other roads would be banned. The existing requirement of the half-mile radius between billboards is proposed to remain, which that is actually illustrated in the yellow circles around the stars. Billboard design requirements would include a brick column base to the sign and a requirement to paint all exposed metal this hunter green color, as illustrated in that drawing. A public notice ran in the Starkville Daily News on May 22nd, and a sign was placed in the lobby of City Hall for this hearing.
And if I may, in discussions between myself and the city attorney, in May of 2021, the next version that will come before you, the 20th, will state that all existing billboards will have to have this base design or cladding of the pole to be applied.
Questions or comments from the members of the board? Any questions, Alderman Little?
I'd just like to say, I appreciate staff's work on this project. It looks good. I like that design. I understand that's going to be the MSU brick that's used on campus.
That is
all
correct. It is
construction
a
now.
very common brick in the area, and it will probably be manufactured for a very, very long time. So,
Thank you for your work.
Further questions or comments from the members of the board? Any further questions or comments from the members of the board? Any further questions or comments? Seeing none, we'll now hear public comments. Anyone wishing to make a comment, but do so by coming forward, introducing yourself, and you'll be recognized to speak for a maximum of 3 minutes.
Good afternoon, my name is David Johnson of Lamar Advertising.
appreciate the opportunity you guys to come before you tonight. We have a lot of concerns on this proposed ordinance, a lot of considerations that we'd like to add in there. The length of these concerns would be pretty well too much for me to go into tonight. So I'd like to submit a written suggestion for you guys and let you kind of go over, and then ask if you have any questions, you can ask me or people here at the next public hearing.
You may approve.
Okay, thank you.
Have you submitted these previously to staff?
We have not.
Thanks again, Rodney. Are there any further public comments? Any further public comments? Any further public comments? Seeing none. The next, are there any concluding board comments? Any concluding comments from the members? Any concluding comments? Seeing none, that will conclude the first public hearing on the modification of the billboard ordinance. The next matter before you is a public hearing on VA 1709. Mr. Sanders, would you like to introduce?
VA 1709 is Adelaide Phase 2. Phase 2 is located just north of the Claiborne retirement home, and then the Phase 1, which is under construction. This is a request for variance relief from street width and sidewalk requirements of Phase 2. Request number 1 is relief from constructing sidewalks on both sides of the road. The applicant is proposing to have a sidewalk on only one side of the road adjacent to Montgomery Street. As you can see in this plat on the top right, there's a road this is the actual road at the bottom, and this is just kind of a connector connecting the alleyways behind it. And Montgomery Street is to the far right. They're wanting to put the sidewalk between this road and the first lot 28. And what they're asking not to have to do is put a sidewalk on both sides of this access road that's run along Montgomery Street, to just have, the public sidewalk going inside of that road. The second request is relief from the street width, to have the street width of 23 feet instead of the required 31-foot dimension. And that's mainly occurring at the areas where the crosswalks are coming across the streets, or at the intersections where the bulb out with the pedestrians. On May 24, 2017, the Board of Adjustment Appeals voted 4-0 to recommend approval of the variance request.
Are there any questions or comments for the members of the board? Any questions or comments for the members of the board? Seeing none, we'll hear public comments. Are there any public comments? Anyone wishing to make comments may do so by coming forward, introducing yourself, and you'll be recognized to speak for a maximum of 3 minutes. Any comments? Any comments? Any comments? Seeing none, are there any concluding comments from the members of the board? Are there any concluding comments? Seeing none, that will conclude this public hearing on VA 1709. The next matter before you is a public hearing for VA 17-11. Mr. Sanders, would you like to introduce?
VA 1711 is the Walmart neighborhood market signage. This is a request for a variance from the sign requirements. The property is located at the proposed 105 Market Street in a C2 zone. And this is very similar to the one we had come a while back to the Academy Sports. As part of this development, they're building a public road. And due to the public road that they're building, it's putting the building too close to the public road for them to have a sign of the size that they desire. And they're making a request to have a 250 square foot sign, which would be allowed by right if they were over 300 feet from the right of way. But because of the new proposed public road, they would be restricted to 150 square feet maximum. And then the other two parts of the request are kind of in relating, similar to Academy, to the opening of the store. They would like to display their banner for 30 days after the grand opening, and they would also like the banner size to be increased from 24 to 60 square feet.
Are there any questions or comments from the members of the board? Any questions or comments from the members of the board? Any questions? Alderman Walker.
One, from the sign, size of the sign, do they meet the 300 feet from Highway 12?
I believe they are, but I did not take that note. I forgot to show this graphic. This is the graphic of the front of the store. All the other signage that they had in their package, which was for the fuel station, all sides of it, and then even the side that's closest to Market Street are in compliance. It's just the front side facing Highway 12.
Thank you.
Any further questions or comments from the members of the board? Seeing none, are there any public comments? Any public comments? Any public comments? Seeing none, are there any concluding comments from the members of the board? Are there any concluding comments? Seeing none, that will conclude this public hearing on VA 1711. The next matter before you is the second public hearing for an ordinance granting a non-exclusive franchise renewal to BCI Mississippi Broadband LLC, doing business as Max South Broadband. The franchise agreement as proposed is the same as it was 2 weeks ago. And as I highlighted then, some of the noteworthy provisions in the document that deviate from some of our other franchise agreements is it is a longer than normal franchise agreement. It is a 25-year franchise agreement. In addition to that, it has a provision in there where MaxSouth makes a commitment to build out its gigabit fiber system. And it also has some language where if the city were ever to grant a franchise agreement to someone who was building less than the gigabit fiber infrastructure they have built, the MaxSouth would have grounds to make an argument that the city would be required to let MaxSouth out of that provision. Did I characterize that correctly?
And we added that clause for the city's permission would be granted and not unreasonable conditions.
And that provision, you may recall, I characterized as we had disagreement with MaxSouth on prior to our last public hearing. When Mr. Farrell came forward and spoke, he said he did not think we in fact did have disagreement on that provision. And he and the city attorney committed to verifying that was the case, and they did do so. So I believe with respect to the city attorney, Mr. Farrell and I, this is an agreement that we all find acceptable. Are there any questions or comments by the members of the board? Any questions or comments by the members of the board? Seeing none, are there any public comments? Any public comments? Any public comments? Seeing none, are there any concluding comments by the members of the board? Are there any concluding comments by the members of the board? Seeing none, that will conclude the second public hearing on the MaxSouth franchise agreement. Next matter before you is a public hearing for the consideration of whether the property located at 84 Utah Street in the city of Starkville is in such a state of uncleanliness as to be a menace to public health, safety, and welfare to the community pursuant to Mississippi Code annotated section 21-19-11. Mr. Sanders, would you like to introduce?
Yes, sir. Mayor, Vice Mayor, Board of Alderman, in November of 2016, the structure at 84 Utah Street burned. Not too long after the fire, the owner of the structure passed away. As of May 9, 2017, there's been no filings in probate court to transfer ownership. The tax office has also stated on May 9th that there's been no transfer of ownership. On May 11th, a notice was posted at the property. On May 12th, a letter was mailed to the address on the tax card and was returned stating that the person had deceased. And also on May 12th, 2017, a notice was posted at City Hall about tonight's hearing, along with an ad in the paper.
Are there any questions or comments from the members of the board? Any questions or?
Mr. Mayor, may I be recognized?
You may.
Mr. Mayor, let me just briefly say thank you, Mr. Mayor, my colleagues. Mr. Mateen is going to actually recognize just a few minutes, but Mr. Mayor, I did personally go to this location at 84 Utah Street in Rolling Hill subdivision, North Starkville, within about 7 days ago, and given my observation, this property, including this burned home, in my opinion, is in a state of uncleanliness where it is a menace to the public health, safety, and welfare. That picture, it's not a complete picture that's on the board there, but if you look at it from all sides and all angles, and it's a blight to the community. It is a detriment to the safety. A lot of children are there, and I am asking the board to enter a finding at a later point in this meeting in compliance with the statute 21-1911. And Mr. Mateen, at some point the mayor will recognize you, and hopefully when you do get up, just mention what has been your recent observation. I did ask you to take some pictures of this property and home, and respect the request for the chair to receive and admit those photographs into this record for purposes of this hearing, once you get recognized. Mr. Mayor, you have the floor.
Are there any further comments from the members of the board? Any further comments from the members of the board? Seeing none, we'll now hear public comments on the matter. Are there any public comments?
Watch out, I don't want no rips. And my name is Roy F. again at 94 LaFleur Street. And I'm here in regards to the house we were speaking of at 84 Utah. I did take pictures of this property, and I want you to know that I travel this area 99% of the time I go out that way. I'm sick and tired of looking at it. I wanted to clean it up last week, and I wanted to go over there and cut the yard, but I thought I'd be breaking the law, so I didn't do anything, just got the garbage off the edge of it. But I do have pictures here for you, and look like of all this time, look to me something could have been done about this before now. I don't know, but I'm just questioning. Maybe you can tell me better, but if you like to see the pictures, you can
Mr. Mayor, approach.
You may.
Ma'am, okay. You like to take a view, may have them and put them into your, you know.
You'd like for them to be received and admitted to the record as part of this?
Yes, sir. I would like to do that. And a refund on the picture money too. You know, after all, you know, but anyway, I would like to get some reply. I know it takes a little time in doing this year, but I would like to find out if it's any way possible that if you can't go ahead and do what's supposed to be done, tear it down, move it over, whatever that be, can you at least clean it up? Can you get the yard cut, pick up the debris? Can that be done?
Mr. Mayor,
You may.
Mr. Attorney, you can just listen to this carefully. Under the statute, Mr. Attorney, under the board business, the board adopts that motion and determines this to be a means of health, safety, and welfare. Then if the motion is adopted, I think will be presented, then the city can proceed with municipal employees of contract to clean the property and dress the property in the home. And the city, per state statute, can assess the cost to the property. And that would be the way that would proceed. Is that correct, Mr. Attorney?
That's correct.
Yes, sir. I yield, Mr. Mayor. So bottom line, Mr. Mateen, if the board passed the motion tonight and enter a finding of fact that this property, 84 Utah, in Rolling Hill subdivision, Starkville, Mississippi, is in a state of uncleanliness as to be a detriment to the health, safety, and welfare of the city, then the board probably will hear a motion for the property declared in such state, and that the motion probably, I think is being proposed by the staff, and would be that that the property would be clean and be cleaned up, and so you won't see that blight. And then by law, the city can assess that cost as a lien against this property. So in other words, bottom line, when someone tries to buy this house or sell it, they do a title search, it'll show that it's there. But bottom line, it'll be achieved what we're seeking. So this is just a process, and we had to give Mr. Sanders a 15-day notice requirement before this hearing, and this notice was in the paper today, noticed it, but so this is just a process. Once the board adopts the motion tonight, then the next step would be to with the recommendation from staff, has to go with the municipal employees contract. But it'll take a little time, but we'll get there. But this starts the vehicle to moving. We certainly appreciate you for doing your hard work. Thank
Yes,
you.
sir.
Your floor, Mr. Mayor.
I think all of you.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate it, and I have another meeting in 10. Excuse me.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Are there any further public comments? Any further public comments? Any further public comments? Seeing none, are there any concluding comments from the members of the board? Any concluding comments from the members of the board? Seeing none, that will conclude this public hearing on the consideration of whether 84 Utah is in such a state of uncleanliness as to be a menace to public health. The next matter on the agenda is the consideration of whether property located at 84 Utah is in such a state of uncleanliness as to be a menace to the public health. Motion has been made by Alderman Little. Excuse me, Alderman Maynard.
Go ahead, Mayor.
All right, motion has been made by Alderman Little. Motion has been made by Alderman Little that Alderman Little has moved that the property at 84 Utah Street in the city of Starkville, Mississippi is in such a state of uncleanliness as to be a menace to public health, safety, and welfare of the community, and that Starkville be authorized to clean the land and address the property by use of municipal employees or by contract, and assess a lien against the property for the cost of such cleanup pursuant to Mississippi Code annotated section 21-19-11, and that the city of Starkville, Mississippi shall promptly seek and obtain quotes to clean the land and address the property at 84 Utah Street. Alderman Little, is that your motion?
Yes, sir.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion's been seconded by Alderman Perkins. Alderman Little, do you wish to speak on the merits? Any discussion? Any discussion?
Mayor, may I be recognized?
You may.
I would like to make a friendly amendment to add to that the city of Starkville shall promptly seek and obtain quotes to clean and address the property.
It's in the motion.
Is that in there?
Yes, the last phrase in the motion is, and that the city of Starkville, Mississippi shall promptly seek and obtain quotes to clean the land and address the property. Yes. Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Seeing none, please respond by saying yea, nay, or abstain when the city clerk calls your name.
Alderman Carver.
Yay.
Alderman Nguyen. Alderman Little.
Yay.
Alderman Walker.
Yay.
Alderman Maynard.
Yay.
Vice Mayor Perkins.
Yay.
Alderman Vaughn.
Yay.
By a vote of 7 in favor, 6 in favor with 0 against, this measure passes. The next matter you have before you is the consideration of the city's resolution authorizing the city's participation in the sales tax rebate program for the Nicholas development. Discussion. Alderman Perkins.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and to my colleagues. Mr. Nichols, please come on down. One thing I like to say, Mr. Nichols, I certainly appreciate your cooperation with respect to this matter. And Mr. Nichols, with respect to this resolution, you're asking the city to approve your hotel development group to move forward so that you can approach the Mississippi Development Authority about approval of this luxury boutique hotel. And want the press to clearly understand this, that the Nicholas property right now has already been approved by a previous Board of Alderman to receive 75% of the sales tax rebate from that particular district. That is already in place right now. Under the current orders of this board from a prior board, this Continental Development organization and group can also not only receive 75% of the sales tax from this TIF district, but also can receive 75% of the ad valorem tax. So that is what is already in place. So what Mr. Nicholas is attempting to do here is that he's seeking board approval for him to proceed with MDA, Mississippi Development Authority, and to comply with all of the Mississippi Development Authority guidelines, rules, and regulations, because he wants to build at that location a luxury boutique hotel. As I understand it, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Nicholas, this will be a full-service hotel. There is no offering like that in the city of Starkville. If this hotel is built, it would put Starkville on the same level as other Southeastern Conference towns such as Tuscaloosa, Alabama, Athens, Georgia, Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and Gainesville, Florida. Now, what happens if Mr. Nicholas gets approval and the board passes this resolution is that his sales tax diversion for this district would go up to 80%. But what Mr. Nicholas, and I'm going to put him on the record in just a minute, but what Mr. Nicholas has agreed to at this point is, right now, as I mentioned earlier, he's entitled to 75% of the sales tax. So is the proposal that stands with the motion that's before us tonight, if the board approves this motion, then Mr. Nicholas and his group is waiving and not collecting that 75% of the sales tax that's been previously approved by the board. Is that correct, Mr. Nicholas?
That is correct.
And you're in agreement to that, correct?
That
If the
is
board
correct.
approves this. Now, also, if the board approves this motion tonight, Mr. Nicholas has voluntarily acknowledged, represented, and agreed for the ad valorem portion of the taxes to be reduced effectively immediately from 75% to 60%. Is that correct, Mr. Nicholas?
That is correct, Vice Mayor.
And no one pressured you to do this, is that correct?
That is correct. If the city was going to give, then I need to give also.
And you are voluntarily, willingly, and freely agreeing to this, correct?
Absolutely.
And you represent by council, you had an opportunity to consult with the council you're choosing, you agreed to that, right? Now, so, now, in order for this to go forward, so you've agreed to waive the 75% of the TIF. So if we approve this, you get no more TIF from the sales tax. The ad valorem goes down to 60%. Now, so if the board approves this, then you're gonna have to modify that existing TIF agreement. You understand that?
Yes.
And you have represented that you need at least about 30 calendar days to get that TIF agreement amended so it can reflect what I just stated. No sales tax collection effective immediately, and you're reducing your ad valorem tax diversion from 75 to 60%. You understand that?
We will have our council amend the TIF document and then give it back to
Mr. Ladder.
Mr. Ladder.
And you've discussed this with your council?
Yes.
He agrees to that?
Yes.
Now, you understand, you read this motion, you've seen this, right, Mr.?
I have seen this motion.
And you read it line by line, paragraph, page by page, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, now, this motion requires you, Mr. Nicholas, to have this amended TIF agreement back to is signed before notary and back to the city, and specifically our city attorney, by 5 p.m. Central Standard Time, Friday, the 7th day of July 2017. You understand that, right?
That's correct.
And you're gonna do that, right?
Absolutely.
You're not gonna let the vice mayor and this board sit down, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, right. So, and you understand, Mr. Nicholas, if you do not do these things, that this motion, that if the board elects to pass it tonight, and this resolution will have no force and effect on the city. In other words, if you don't do what you're required to do, this motion shall be and thereby rescinded with no force and effect and with no further action by the board. You understand that?
Very, very plain and simple.
Right.
Yes, absolutely.
Now, if this agreement is approved by MDA, and you will get the Mississippi Development Authority, you'll get the 80% sales tax, and you'll get it for a period of 15 years, or once the aggregate of 30% of that project cost approved by MDA, incurred by you, has been paid in full, whichever occurs first, right?
That is correct.
So, and so technically, if you do the latter, it could occur before 15 years, right?
That is correct.
Okay. And so, so we don't have any misunderstanding. So just for the purpose of the record, there are no outstanding issues in terms of you know, I mean, in easement, everything that you.
There's no outstanding issues on the property.
Yes, sir.
There are, I have already, most of the Board of Alderman, I've tried to get with everybody, have showed you that we have got our financing in place. We expect to be under construction by August the 1st. We plan to be open before the football season of 2018. And this luxury boutique hotel is something that the city can be extremely proud of.
And as I understand this, and I'm about to yield in a minute, but this is, as you represent, it'll be a $21 million economic development project.
That is correct.
It'll be a luxury boutique, full-service hotel.
Yes.
And you represent it'll be 200 jobs,
Include
include construction.
Absolutely.
And then once construction is over, you represent it'll be at least 100 part-time and full-time jobs for the hotel portion.
Between the
hotel portion.
The hotel portion and the restaurant, absolutely.
Okay, and I think you had represented there will be 50 jobs for the restaurant, full-time, part-time, and 100 for the hotel portion.
That's correct. That's the estimate.
And so, given what you acknowledge you're gonna do, you're gonna get that to us, and you understand the terms of this, and you're gonna get this to our city attorney, and it seems like this is a win-win situation. Because right now, I want the press to make sure they get it right, because we don't know correction in an article later. Because, you know, right now, you're entitled to 75% of the sales tax.
That's correct.
And also, he's entitled, already on a prior board action, 75% of the ad valorem tax. So, but with this agreement, press, he's waiving any collection under the TIF plan for sales taxes. And he's reducing the ad valorem from 75 to 60%. Now, if he gets approved by MDA, he goes up to 80%, but he's reducing the ad valorem from 75 to 60. So I look at this as a win-win, and I'm going to yield the floor. But Mr. Nichols, we certainly appreciate your presence with this project, because you could have taken this project anywhere else, and we appreciate your commitment. We appreciate your presence, and certainly with this boutique luxury full-time full service, that seems to be top of the line, in that we are competing and able to be at the same level as other Southeastern Conference schools. So, and I'm also impressed with this, Mr. Nichols, in that you're giving up, in my opinion, some percentage of this tax diversion. So I think the taxpayers looking at the totality of the facts and the circumstances are benefiting, because right now you got 75% sales, 75% below, but we are benefiting, in my opinion. So I think the entire city of Starkville and Tippecanoe Hall County and the Mississippi State University community is benefiting from this. And I just wanted to say thank you, and I appreciate all of you who've been involved, all of you at the table, the mayor, the city attorney, and all of you, because we have to work together as a team, as a family, to make things the best. But I like this compromise, Mr. Nicholas, and I got a lot of faith in you. I'm counting on you to make this thing happen, and keep all of us informed about how this is developing and how this is approaching. Mr. Mayor, I just want to take the time to specify that, make that clear. And Mr. Nicholas has already acknowledged and gone on to the record that he agrees with all the terms. He's read it clearly. He's been talking with his attorney, and this is what he voluntarily agreed to. And so we just thank him for that. I yield the floor.
Yes, sir. Do you have a motion?
Oh, yes, sir. Let me read this motion. Mr. Mayor, it's a very lengthy motion, but I'll read the entire motion. So I need to it's move approval of the resolution of the Mayor and Board of Aldermen of the City of Starkville, Mississippi, supporting Cotton Mill Hotel Group LLC, the developer, and acknowledging that 80% of sales tax collected from the hotel tourism project, the tourism project, will be diverted to the Mississippi Development Authority sales tax rebate fund for a period of 15 years, or when the aggregate amount of 30% of the approved project cost of the Mississippi Development Authority incurred by the developer for the tourism project have been paid, or whichever shall occur first pursuant to Mississippi Code Annotated 57-626-1 is set and for related purposes. The resolution and that the ad valorem rebate under the current tax increment financing plan, the TIF plan for the tourism project shall be and is hereby reduced from 75% to 60%, all pursuant to the following term, conditions, and findings of fact. Number one, On or about May 23, 2017, the developer presented the city with a resolution for consideration by the Starkville Board of Alderman. The board, that resolution attached as Exhibit A and incorporated herein. Number 2, the board adopts the resolution in consideration of and expressly conditioned upon the following criteria. A, the developer shall not pursue or apply to the city for the sales tax rebate under the TIF plan for the tourism project or any additional sales tax rebates under the TIF plan effective immediately and further effectuated and memorialized by the developer amending the TIF plan and development and reimbursement agreement and any other associated documents consistent with this motion. The developer expressly waives any right to collect sales tax rebate funds under the TIF plan for the tourism project effective immediately. B, the ad valorem tax rebate for the tourism project under the TIF plan shall be hereby reduced from 75% to 60% effective immediately and further effectuated and memorialized by the developer amending the TIF plan and development and reimbursement agreement and any other associated document consistent with this motion. C, the developer shall present to the city a revised and amended TIF plan for the tourism project consistent with the terms of the resolution in this motion by 5 p.m. Central Standard Time on July 7, 2017. D, if the board approves the revised TIF plan, the developer shall execute all associated documents before a notary, including but not limited to an amended development and reimbursement agreement which shall contain terms consistent with the resolution in this motion within 2 weeks following board passage of the amended TIF documents. E, a certified copy of this motion and the resolution shall be forwarded by Starkville City Clerk to the Mississippi Development Authority, Mississippi State Tax Commission, Mississippi Department of Revenue, the city's bond counsel, and the city's financial advisor, and any other person or entity involved in the developer's financing of the tourism project through tax increment financing or the MDA Tourism Sales Tax Rebate Program. F, the city of Starkville's approval of the resolutions expressly conditioned upon the developer complying with all of the terms and conditions stated herein. If the developer fails to abide by any of the terms and conditions of this motion, the resolution and this motion shall be and are thereby rescinded with no further force or effect and without requiring any additional action by the board. And this the resolution is attached and incorporated here. So if this board adopts this motion, the resolution is incorporated. It's a full copy here in words and figures. And so this resolution is part of this motion. So the motion passes, the resolution goes with it. So Mr. Mayor, I attended this, it's in writing. And Mr. Nicholas, you read this, you've seen it,
Yes.
and you agree with it?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
The motion has been reduced to writing, it's been read and placed with the city clerk without objection. I will not ask for it to be reread. Seeing none, do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion has been seconded by Alderman Nguyen. Alderman Perkins, you will speak on the minutes.
Mayor, I'd just like to just say briefly, I'd like to thank you for your leadership with economic development matters. I want to thank Mr. Nicholas for showing a genuine interest of just staying here in Starkville, Tippecanoe County. We appreciate your commitment to our community, and we recognize that, and we thank you for that. We thank you for your compromise. We thank you for your spirit of cooperation. We thank you for your spirit of a willingness to have a very fervent and persistent desire to ensure that this project become a reality. We are going to just look forward and move forward with you, and we're looking forward to the grand opening. It was construction starting August 1, 2017, and construction lasting about 11 months. And so we just want to thank you. We want to thank you for all the members of this board for their obvious willingness to join this. And I'm just respectfully requesting, I'm really excited about this and your cooperation with this. And hopefully, Mr. Mayor and our distinguished colleagues and to the press and to the members of the public, we'll get a unanimous vote tonight on this roll call. So I'm expecting that we'll get and hoping, I got faith that we'll get a 7-0 vote on this thing tonight. I just see that this is a win-win situation. Mr. Nicholas has reduced the tax formula here, the percentage, and how can we lose when you have already coming into the room tonight with 75% sales and 75% ad valorem? There's no way the taxpayer is going to lose. So I feel confident that we'll get a 7-0 vote. I may be wrong, but that's just my confidence. Mr. Mayor, I yield.
Any further discussion? Any further discussion?
Mayor.
Alderman Nguyen.
Hey, Mayor.
I've got Nguyen and then Maynard next.
Mr. Nicholas, thank you so much for doing this, and it actually 2 years ago, maybe 3, former CL Taylor Adams and I and you, we had dinner at Fredo's. Taylor and I were getting you and asking you to invest in our city. You said that you was willing to commit to us. I say thank you for all that you do for the body. Thank you so much, Mr. President.
Thank you. Thank y'all. Can I say something?
Well,
Okay.
let me hear from Alderman Maynard first. Alderman Maynard? Alderman Maynard?
I want to thank Mr. Nicholas as well. To support this tonight, I do have one question. Since we are increasing part of this, city council, is there a requirement for an additional public hearing?
There is.
Because of the changes in ordinance?
There is, Alderman. The way this works procedurally, Mr. Nicholas will present a revised TIF plan by the deadline, July 7th. Our bond counsel will look at that TIF plan and make sure everything checks out, set that for a public hearing. And when that public hearing goes forward, all the associated documents like the development and reimbursement agreement will attach or be in conjunction with that. And so we will in fact have a public hearing on the revised TIF plan by law.
But we're okay to approve this tonight prior to the public hearing?
It's a resolution of intent that goes to MDA that shows the city is in support of the project and the conversion from the sales tax TIF to the MDA tourism rebate program. So yeah, I think the city has a legal right to approve the resolution tonight, pending the presentation of that TIF plan at the public hearing on the TIF plan and the acceptance of the TIF plan. The TIF plan is the key. Those are the controlling legal documents, and so it gets wrapped up on the back end with the amendment of the TIF documents.
I'm going to yield to Mr. Nicholas, and then I'll recognize Alderman Little next.
I want to say thank you very much to the board over all these years. We bought that piece of property at 6 acres back in '06. We worked a long time to create a good front door to the university and for the city. The leadership of this board has been outstanding. It's been pro-business. The city has got to grow. It cannot do anything but growth or it dies. And this city is poised for growth. I want to thank the members of the board. I want to thank the vice mayor for his leadership in crafting this resolution tonight. I want to thank Alderman Nguyen for her constant support, Alderman Little for his constant support in everything that we've done in this project, and Roy Perkins, your leadership, and Henry Vaughn, thank you so much for everything you've done. Mayor, you've been instrumental. We continue to invest in this city, and with the leadership that is going to change, and I know that they're pro-business, and I appreciate everybody and their support as we try to make the city of Starkville a better place for everybody, and garner more tourism for the people of the city and for the university. So I want to thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Nicholas. Alderman Little.
I just want to say thank you, Mr. Nicholas. I had the opportunity to meet with you a couple of weeks ago and do the renderings, and it's going to be a game changer for the city of Starkville. And I look forward to this coming to fruition. I had the opportunity a couple of years ago to stay at one of these hotels, and they're very nice, and it will be a great anchor for the city and the university sitting on that corner. And I appreciate your willingness to invest in the city. And I'd like to also say thank you to the vice mayor for working behind the scenes and helping negotiate this deal and crafting that motion tonight.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Appreciate your work on
Yes,
that.
sir. Yes, sir. Thank you.
It's been a great asset to the city. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman.
Appreciate it.
Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Seeing none. Alderman Carver?
Mayor?
Is that Alderman Carver?
Yes,
Yes.
Yes. I was going to say also, through Vice Mayor Perkins does a phenomenal job describing the financial background of this project, but also to address the socioeconomic aspects of this. We are always looking for ways to differentiate ourselves between other cities, not only in the region, but other cities in the state, and not only that, but we've seen charts and diagrams, showing some kind of lack of need or some type of need for, developments like this in the SEC. So thank you to, I'm not sure who's there, but thank you to Martin Nicholas and Nicholas Properties and everything that you've already done in the city, and everything that you're going to do in the city. So this is yet another thing that this board has done, publicly that can show the growth that's happening in the fall. And again, I just want to publicly thank you, Martin Nicholas, and I will yield the floor.
Thank you, Alderman Carver. Thank you for your support.
Any further discussion? Alderman Vaughn? Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Seeing none, please respond by saying yay, nay, or abstain as the city clerk calls your name.
Alderman Carver.
Yay.
Alderman Nguyen. Yay. Alderman Little.
Yay.
Alderman Walker.
Yay.
Alderman Maynard.
Yay.
Vice Mayor Perkins.
Yay.
Alderman Vaughn.
Yay.
By a vote of 7 in favor with 0 against, motion clearly passes. Thank you, Mr. Nicholas.
Thank you so much.
The next matter on the agenda is a request for approval of the claims docket. So moved. Motion has been made by Alderman Walker to approve the City of Starkville claims docket for all departments, including Starkville Utilities Department as of May 31st, 2017, for fiscal year ending September 30th, 2017, as presented. Alderman Walker, is that your motion?
Yes.
Do I hear a second? Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion's been seconded. Ben, Alderman Walker, do you wish to speak on the matter?
No.
Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Saying none, please respond by saying yay, nay, or abstain as the city clerk calls your name.
Alderman Carver.
Yay.
Alderman Nguyen. Yay. Alderman Little.
Yay.
Alderman Walker.
Yay.
Alderman Maynard.
Yay.
Vice Mayor Perkins.
Nay.
Alderman Vaughn.
Yay.
By a vote of 5 in favor with 2 against, the motion passes. Next matter on the agenda is an update on the police renovation project. Aaron Boyd. Chief, you or me?
The remaining schedule from Weathers Construction, and that name this week has been bad weather construction with the bad weather we've had. We're hoping by tomorrow it's all good. The exterior work remaining is pave the parking lot and stripe it. That would have been done Monday and Tuesday, but obviously we couldn't. In conjunction, they'll finish the alleyways around the side, so that should get all the mud away from the building, which would be excellent. When that's done, they can finish the gutters and downspouts, they can finish the little bit of painting left on the exterior, and it's only left to put the pavers down and to put the landscaping in. The dirt's already been put in, but so the front should be done in the next week or a few days after that. The interior, they will start up the HVAC system, and along with that, the backup generator will be started, and with that, then we can finish the remaining interior work. They're working 7-day-a-week schedule, and we had over 50 people working in the building, so it's really coming along well. And so with that, the schedule that they're proposing and we're proposing is on June the 23rd, we would do the certificate of substantial completion. And if all of this work is finished, that will contractually finish the project in terms of finishing their work, except for the attached punch list. The certificate of substantial completion means the building is ready for its intended use. And so we're shooting for that day. The architect and engineers will make their inspections, and if everything's complete, we would be done at that time. If that's the case, the furniture would then be installed the week of the 26th for 2 days, maybe 3. And if I understand correctly, we're looking to dedicate the building on Friday, June the 30th. And also, the lovely lady was out battling the rain today to get a picture of the exterior building. The plaque was going to go up today, but he included an insert for the plaque, and that will go just to the left of the door. And so, as long as everybody's able to stay on schedule and get a report, that I think we're going to make our schedule and be ready to dedicate it. Chief was through with his whole staff on Monday, and I think they're feeling comfortable that it's coming, but it's a beehive of activity in there right now.
Questions or comments from the members of the board? Any questions or comments from the members? Any questions or comments? Seeing none. Thank you, Mr. Jacobs.
Thank you.
That concludes the open session portion of our agenda. You do have matters for your potential consideration in executive session. But I hear a motion has been made by Alderman Little to go into closed session to determine whether there's need for an executive session. It does not require a second. Alderman Little, do you wish to pick on the motion? Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Oh, I'm sorry. Please respond by saying yea, nay, or abstain when the city clerk calls your name.
Alderman Carver.
Yay.
Alderman Williams. Alderman Little.
Yay.
Alderman Walker.
Yay.
Alderman Maynard.
Yay.
Vice Mayor Perkins.
Yay.
Alderman Barnes.
Okay.
By a vote of 6 in favor with 0 against, motion passes. I ask the public to vacate the premises so the board can begin closed session deliberations to determine what there's need for executive session.